Judges 19 introduces us to a Levite man who had a concubine, but his concubine left him and returned to her father's house in Bethlehem. The Levite took a servant and traveled to Bethlehem to get his concubine back. The meeting between the Levite and the woman's father was cordial, and he remained as a guest in her father's house for 5 days. At the end of the 5th day, the Levite left Bethlehem with his servant and his concubine and traveled north. Near evening they passed Jebus, Jerusalem, but the Levite refused to lodge in the city because it was inhabited by Jebusites rather than Israelites. The company continued north until they came to Gibeah, where an old man urged them to spend the night in his house rather than sleeping in the open square. They accepted the invitation and went to the old man's house. That night, some of the men of Gibeah surrounded the old man's house and started beating down the door because they wanted to have sexual relations with the visiting men. The old man begged the men not to be so wicked. To protect his guests, the old man offered the mob his virgin daughter and the Levite's concubine. When the men didn't accept the offer, the Levite took his concubine by force and made her go out to them. They raped her all night and only let her go when the sun dawned. When the Levite woke up, he went outside and found his concubine dead at the front door of the old man's house. He took her body, cut it into 12 pieces, and sent the pieces throughout all the territory of Israel. And all who saw it said, "Such a thing has never happened or been seen from the day that the people of Israel came up out of the land of Egypt until this day. Consider it, take counsel, and speak." 1930. When word spread about the atrocities done by the men of Gibeah, all the fighting men of Israel met at Mizpah, 400,000 men. After hearing the Levite's account of his time in Gibeah, all the Israelites agreed the men of Gibeah needed to be punished. The army of Israel marched against Gibeah, and 40,000 men were charged with gathering provisions for the army. The Israelites sent messengers to Gibeah, demanding they give up the worthless fellows who committed the evil act. But the Benjaminites refused. Instead, they prepared for war. On the first day of fighting, the Benjaminites managed to kill 22,000 Israelites. On the second day of fighting, the Benjaminites managed to kill 18,000 Israelites. At the end of the second day, the whole army of Israel went to Bethel and wept before the Lord. They asked him if they should go up a third time to fight. God told them to fight a third day, and he would give them victory. On the third day of fighting, the Israelites faked a retreat to draw the Benjaminites out of their city. Then an ambush pounced. They ran into Gibeah, took the city, and burned it. When the city was taken, the Israelites in the city joined the battle outside the walls and surrounded their enemies. That day, 25,100 men of Benjamin were killed. Before the Israelites went and fought against the Benjaminites, Judges 20, they made a pact that they would not give their daughters as wives to a Benjaminite man. After nearly exterminating the tribe of Benjamin in war, they realized their pact may have been a mistake. The remaining Benjaminite men didn't have any women to marry. To remedy the problem, the Israelites decided to kill all the people in the town of Jabesh Gilead, because they failed to show up at the meeting at Mizpah. 21. After Israel massacred Jabesh Gilead, the only individuals left alive were 400 young virgins preserved for the Benjaminites. But the 400 virgins weren't enough, so the Israelites devised a new plan. The leaders of Israel told the Benjaminites to go to Shiloh, where an annual feast to the Lord was held, and lie in wait until the young women of the village began their dancing. When the dancing began, each man was to kidnap a wife for himself and carry her back to the territory of Benjamin. The leaders of Israel promised to make amends with the fathers of the girls who were kidnapped. Using this method, the tribe of Benjamin was preserved, and the Israelites kept their vow not to willingly give their daughters to the Benjaminites. Kidnap isn't consent. The book of Judges ends with the following statement. In those days there was no king in Israel. Everyone did what was right in his own eyes. God's laws and moral guidance protect against the corrupting power of sin and the ignorance of short-sighted human beings.